box opening. You're going to have to bear with me a little bit because my camera situation is rigged up in such a way that it is connected to my body, so you will see what my chest sees. Um, Mystery boosters are a product that came out in late 2019 but were made available to the public in 2020. They function similar to the way that a chaos draft would. So inside each of these packs, you're going to have a number of randomized cards, and they are going to span the history of Magic's, Magic's creation from. God, I want to say. Well, let's see. We can find out. Just open a couple and find out how far back this goes. Now, while we're doing these openings, I know that there's a little bit of value in this set, but we really do want to try and, highlight what this looks like from a limited perspective. If you're not familiar with chaos drafts, it functions in the same manner as a booster draft. However, instead of having packs of cards from the same set, you're going to have a mixture of all of the different sets. I know that when we do them, we either let you pay for the packs you want and you use those, or I know in previous tournaments we've also had it where you just pick your packs randomly out of a box. The Mystery Booster set does have specific cards. It's a curated list. So unlike in a normal Chaos draft where it might be difficult to make some synergies work, there is going to be more of a chance of that here. So let's start going through here. Predict, Thrumming Bird. Oh, I can't tell if this is in any particular order. I've seen commons and uncommons mixed in. Okay, so it looks like Thrumming Bird and uncommon. Genju. Interesting. Now, I've never opened a pack of these cards physically, so I'm not sure what to expect as far as where certain cards fall in the pack. I know that a couple of the synergies in here are going to be things like Populate. You'll see that there's a couple of those. I believe Madness, Morph, well, and a few others, it looks like. Interesting. This would look like an interesting set to draft. As far as the power of this set is concerned, I remember Thrumming Bird being very strong. Seal of Doom, hard removal, usually worthy of a first pick. Plexcaster Frogling, also very strong. Dominus of Fealty, a nice card, but unreliable as a first pick. Kolgon's Command. Now I wonder if that card still has any constructed value. Alright, go ahead and break these down. Now, here's a reminder that anything that we open up on this stream, you are going to be able to purchase on pastimes.net. And that code that you see up there, Pastimes RE10, is going to be good for 10% off of your order. I'm going to try and readjust a little bit just to ensure that everything stays in view while we're shooting, because we're going to be opening a lot of cards. Thanks for bearing with me while we grapple the technical challenge of working from a distance. Alright, so we'll just go through all of these slowly. Meditation puzzle, Paladin of the Bloodstained. Oh gosh. Portent, Valid Omnivore, Tragic Slip. So weird quality to some of the cards. Like the ink looks a little bit darker than I remember. See if you can get a close up on this Tragic Slip, and especially the Valid Omnivore. The ink looks a lot darker than initial print runs. Lightning Bolt. Peace Strider, Asceticism, Goblin Charbelcher. Now we got a foil Balefire Liege. Oh, Balefire Liege is a super sweet card. Criticism. Yeah, this pack also not in any particular order. I would almost certainly take the Lightning Bolt out of this pack and not think much about it. Now, if you look down here at the bottom corner of these cards, you'll see, well, look at the set symbol. You'll see that these cards have retained their initial set symbol. You can tell that this is a mystery booster card by the little planeswalker symbol that's on the bottom left portion of the cards here. Alright, get into pack 3 here. No big money hits, but mostly we are just opening these to experience the cards and get an idea of how a draft would look. So it does seem like we have some very strong counter synergy. Here we have Feet of Resistance, Loyal Sentry, Messenger Jays. The Asmic Mummy I remember being very strong. Amonkhet format, Price of Progress, very cool reprint. Oh wow, an Armadillo Cloak. Super cool. I wish they didn't redo the art. I think the original Invasion block art was so cool. Arcane Sanctum, Pathrazor, got a Boros Reckoner, and a Lantern of Insight as our foil. So it looks like you're guaranteed a foil in every pack. You are not guaranteed 2 rares in every pack. Okay, so we'll break these down. Yeah, it looks like aside from the foil and at least 1 rare, the rest of the pack is not really balanced in any certain way. All right. Starting off next, the Firehoof Cavalry, Lunarch Mantle, Caller of the Gales, Dream Cache, Demon's Grasp, ooh, a Gary, Alchemist's Greeting. And we see we're getting into a little bit of that madness that we discussed. Summit Prowler, Naturalize, Crawl Warrior, Giant Baiting. A lot of Eldrazi as well. Ooh, a Pestilence. Very cool. Corsair of Crufix. And cool. A foil Mythic Lich's Mirror. I really wonder why this card never took off. It seems like it has the potential to do some really cool stuff. Corsair Crufix is an awesome pickup. I think Pestilence is super rad as well. If we were drafting this right now, there's a lot of good red and black removal. And there's been some token and proliferate support here as well. I don't have the camera on a headband mic. Sorry, I'm just seeing this now. It's clipped it's clipped to the neck of my sweater currently because there is nothing else in here that I could get it onto. All right. Next pack, we're looking at an AFA protector, sensor splicer, glint, glacial crasher, shambling goblin, innocent blood, Aerostorm, Blades of Velasvel, New Horizons, Dissenter's Deliverance, Zealous Persecution, Jungle Hollow, Sapphire Charm. So we're going back to Mirage at least. Bibblethip the Lost, a pretty underwhelming rare here, and a Sinew Sliver. I'm going to take this probably to mean that slivers are another archetype in this draft format. I think this is the first one we've seen, so we'll keep an eye out for a few more. Sensor Splicer, definitely a strong card. Innocent Blood, I will always have a soft spot for. I think this was originally Odyssey block, I want to say. Oof. Yeah, definitely understand that this camera is not ideal, and partially why I've put off doing this for as long as I have, but I am working on a reasonable stand-in. All right. No, it does look like we are dealing with a considerable amount of filler here, regardless of the fact that this is a more curated set. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. Yargle isn't really what you want to see. Animate Dead is super cool. A Wojek Bodyguard, Goblin Motivator, Destructor Dragon, Borderland Ranger, Bloodbraid Elf. Oh, Thran Dynamo, super awesome. Dragon Mask, taking us all the way back to Visions. An Adorned Pouncer, and then our foil Stormcrow. So it looks like I'm correct in the assessment that you're guaranteed at least a rare and Dragon Mask. I think you're guaranteed one pre M15 and one post M15 rare in each pack, and I most likely haven't been picking them up from the other cards. I got Yargle. I do kind of dislike the order that these are being kept in right now. All right. On to the next one. Isolation Zone, Strong White Removal. Knight of the Tusk. We have a Gurmag Drowner. Divination, your staple, 3 mana for 2 card value. Silumgar Butcher, Knight's Whisper, Barrage of Boulders. This used to be a playable card. Dragon Soul Knight, Woodborn Behemoth, Overrun, also a staple. I don't know that I've ever seen this Azra Oddsmaker, but I haven't done anything with Commander or Conspiracy. Blighted Fen, Elixir of Immortality. Got a Runescarred Demon and a Foil Rocks. Tilt the camera up a little. All right. Let me see what I can do here. I did try to have this attached to my monitor, but it flipped the viewing upside down. So we're seeing everything reversed. All right. So we got a Soul Mender, Sunrise Seeker, Mist Raven, Treasure Hunt, Cackling Imp, Vampire Hexmage, and again I'm seeing this sort of weird dark print on these cards. Curd Ape. Not sure what changed between the original printing and this release, but the cards do seem considerably darker. Herald's Horn. Oh, Soren Markov. We got our first non-foil mythic in the form of a Planeswalker. Solemn Simulacrum. Good old Chubby Cheeks. And our second foil, Bringer of the Black Dawn. All right, again, so just looking through, thinking about some of the potential draft strategies here, seeing a considerable amount of support for tokens, token creation, proliferation. Still don't think I've seen any additional sliver support and very limited madness support. I'm generally not one to go in for chaos drafts, so the potential for this feels, a little iffy. Not a lot that's standing out as high synergy. Our uncommons are going to be Pillory of the Sleepless and Juggernaut, looking at a Phyrexian Soul Gorger and a Debtor's Knell. Ooh, and then a Foil Soul Attendant for all of you Turbo Fog players out there. Right? Eddie Trail Hawk. Interesting with the energy generation here. Haven't really seen a lot of that either. Dark Withering, Hound of the Farbogs, again with the dark ink on the card. Grape Shot, super cool. Dragon Egg, Shape the Sands, Explore. And we'll go into a Winding Constrictor for a little bit of additional counter support. Tormod's Crypt, another Elixir. Second Planeswalker, pick up another Nissa, Voice of Zendikar. And for our foil, we have Lumen Thread Field. Super interesting. It does look like there is some morph support. One of the few morph cards that doesn't turn face up as a creature. I think I'd play that in pretty much any white deck. It'd be cool to make a nice block and then flip it up and have it survive combat. Only damage still stacked. An Apostle's Blessing. Pitfall Trap, which I believe used to be uncommon. Trinket Mage. Amphyn Path Mage. Marsh Hulk. Eyeblight's Ending. Wayward Giant. Goblin Oriflame, which I believe goes all the way back to Alpha Beta. Silhana Ledgewalker. Essence Warden. Engineered Might. Bonesaw. Oracle of Nectars. Oh, very cool. An Elish Norn. And a foil Teferi's Puzzle Box. Always really liked the art on this. Like the conceptual shapes and the way that they're arranged. It's a very nice looking 8th ed foil. Elish Norn is a super cool pick as well. At 7, he is a little bit prohibitively expensive, but his effect is overwhelming. So I'm going to start flipping through these a little more quickly and pointing out, some of the better draft cards and also some of just the more impactful cards that have been played throughout the year. There was a time when Days was a $20 common. Mahamoti Jin. Eldest Reborn was a super strong saga when Dominaria hit. Another Phyrexian Soulgorger, a Whir of Invention, and we got a foil Naugle Bandit. Good for draft, basically unblockable. Ninth Bridge Patrol, I think when I first saw this card, I didn't value him very highly, but you can do some pretty goofy stuff with him in a draft format. He's a good addition to any white deck. Darksteel Mutation. Oh, the all-powerful Giant Spider. Pollen Bright Wings. Copper Carapace. Got a Magus of the Moat. Coat of Arms. And we got a foil Centriplets. I don't know if this card is still valuable, but I know that it's only printed once. Don't see a lot of these. I think that's a pretty good hit, and a reminder that it is going to be up for sale on pastimes.net, and you can use the promo code pastimesre10 for 10% off of your order if you are interested. Cool. Let's move on. Siegecraft. God's Willing, probably one of the best combat tricks I think ever printed, especially in a post-combat damage stacking world. I think it gets a lot better than that. Assistant, Eels Umbra, Shriekmaw, great piece of removal. Skeletal Scrying, Battle Rattle Shaman, also a definite inclusion in any red low to the ground deck. I know that the 4 casting cost is sort of off-putting, but giving something else +2 on the front every single turn is very strong. Basking Rootwalla, a staple in, well, it was type 2 at the time for quite a while, actually. So I'm played in a number of decks. And justifiably. That little guy was super strong. Cauldron Dance, ourselves a Great Furnace. Looking at Citicism, ooh, Misdirection, and a foil Glittering Wish. Also has some super cool art. Ephemerate. Darksteel Mutation was a sort of roundabout piece of removal. It did get the job done. It also gave you sort of an infinite blocker. Corpse Hatch, very, very cool piece of removal that also gives you a little bit of acceleration and additional blockers. Always the staple shock. It's here, Martial Glory. Ooh, a Dothy Mind Ripper. Now, the Dothy series was always a bunch of cards that I really loved growing up. I think the art on them um, was just always a little terrifying and got the black theme across very strongly. I think you could look at the Dothy cards, and especially the cards with Shadow and the way that they functioned as really thematically on point for both the time and the game. Release the Gremlins. We got a foil Helix Pinnacle. We're a little bit past halfway on this one. Sorry, let me get this wrapper out of here. Got a Knight of Old Benalia. Scroll Thief. Just a bad thieving magpie. Oh, the good old Foff. Browbeat, I believe, also was a rare in Judgment, downgraded to uncommon. Always thought it deserved more respect than it got. Wrath Compassion, Bottle Gnomes, super cool. Umbral Mantle, got a Torment of Hailfire, and a foil Spellweaver Volute. So this is one of the time-shifted cards. Not entirely sure if it's ever seen a reprint. Enchant instant card in a graveyard. I actually don't know that I've ever seen this card, period, and I played during this format. So if you are tuning in, we have 3, 6, 7 packs left on this box. Everything is going to be available for sale following this. Again, apologies for the shoddy camera work. I'm in the process of, turning my office into a nursery and then finding the space to do this more openly and with the right equipment. We got a War Behemoth, Johnny's Pridemate, finally seeing a little play in Standard. Got trampled on Arena last night by a mono white Standard deck that was all life gain triggers. Deep Freeze, Doorkeeper, Infest, had its day for sure. All of the Penumbra cards, super cool. Love the theme of them all dying and coming back as like shadows of themselves with the same stats. Desert Twister, Storm Chaser Chimera, Bomat Bazaar Barge. When vehicles first debuted, I think this is one of the strongest one. 4 mana for a 5/5 creature that was conditional but also cantripped. A lot of people saw this added to their limited decks. Don't think it got any play in the standard Mardu vehicles list. You got another Dragon Mask, got an Animar, and a foil Not of This World. Now, Animar, I believe, was pretty big for Commander for a little while. Also, not a format that I am super well versed in, but I wonder if he's still floating around out there. All right. We have Alley Evasion. Quest Cycle, also super cool. I like the conditional counters for good payoffs. Quest for the Gravelord, I think one of the strong ones. Galvanic Blast, also a super impactful card. Still sees play anywhere you see. Oh boy. affinity being played. Knucklevy, got a Crystal Ball, Phantom Centaur is super cool. Same thing, Phantom Centaur, same concept as the Penumbras. I think it's really cool, really thematic. I loved playing with these cards back in the day. Phantom Centaur, Phantom Neshoba, everything from that arc was super rad. And we pick up a foil Zer's Weirding. Also, super rad art, very beautiful foil. All right. Manifest was an interesting ability. Didn't really see it pan out much as a keyword, but I know that in limited formats you could really get things out of hand. Lingering Souls definitely falls into the category of an impactful card that stood the test. Let me fix this camera here. Seal of Strength, not the best. An on-the-board combat trick is not really where anybody wants to be in most cases. Got a Venom Sliver, so we are seeing a little bit of additional Sliver support. Iroas's Champion, Darksteel Citadel. We got ourselves a Squirrel Wrangler. Squirrel theme everywhere. A Dragon Lord Ojutai, and a foil Frozen Ether. That's a super cool little prison card. Oops, some of these are difficult. There we go. Okay. Oh, Adanto Vanguard, super cool. I think a lot of people sort of fail to realize that their life source is one of the tools that you have to play with. Giving this guy indestructible is costly, but it can keep you ahead on board, especially early game where cards like this shine. Fledgling Makor, Ninja of the Deep Hours. We got a little bit of ninjutsu action happening in here. Stormkirk Patrol, Tendrils of Corruption. Awesome card. Flame Tongue Kavu, I think, was like the keystone draft card from, I think it was Plane Shift is when this card came out. FTK stood the test of time, I believe. An Aethercast Knight, Sunset Pyramid, another Pathrazor of Ulamog. Got ourselves a Krenko Mob Boss, and a foil Blasting Station. I'd take FTK over everything else in that pack. Even the Krenko. Krenko is super strong. Alright, Abzan Falconer. Knight of the Skyward Eye. Got a Slipstream Eel. Doom Dissenter, super cool card that replaces itself on death. I like the Defender theme. I love Vent Sentinel as a card. Mist Meadow Witch. I haven't been paying enough attention to know if there is an ETB theme here that we could abuse this for, but super strong card regardless. Heavy Arbalist. Guildleaf Palace, a Mind Spring, and a foil Spell Tithe Enforcer. Looks like we're down to the last 3 packs in the box. And then we'll do a quick review of the rares, foils, and mythics. We have a Wall of 1,000 Cuts, Momentary Blink, so it looks like there is an ETB theme here that we just haven't discovered yet. Treasure Mage, Muldrifter, Grave Purge. Of course, as I say that, all of the cards that make that relevant come out. Ruinous Gremlin, Chartooth Cougar, Gaia's Blessing, Kin Tree Invocation, a Messy Tome, Perish, destroy all green creatures, they cannot be regenerated. Take that, green creatures. Green Belt Rampager, which is honestly a card that I thought would see more play. Very surprised that it got sidelined very early on. Stigma Lasher is our foil rare. All right. Cloudskate, I don't think we've seen yet. Super cool. Suspend was another one of those keywords that I think just sort of changed the way that the game worked for a lot of people, and Riftwing Cloudskate was one of the strongest ones that came out that carried it. Oh, we dropped one. It's a Queen's Agent. Gravitic Punch, Crash Through, Search for Tomorrow. Again, in the vein of suspending. Super strong, good fixing. Fires of Yavimaya is a card that friends and I discuss frequently on account of how much it shaped the format that it was in, and specifically the standard format, or I think it would have been Type 2 at the time. Sigil of Valor, another Pestilence, a Chromatic Lantern, and a foil Form of the Dragon. I feel like all of the nostalgia that I have for these cards is going to date me as a player, but original, I think it was Scourge, Form of the Dragon. Dropping that on turn 7 and watching your opponent get very mad. It's one of the highlights of the era. Alright, this is going to be the last pack for this box, and then we'll do a little review. Oh, we got a Core Firewalker. Archetype of Imagination. Tavern Swindler. Flame Jab. Roast. Okay, Eternal Witness. We've got a lot of new ones in this one that we haven't opened yet. Commune with the Gods. Unlicensed Disintegration. Super cool to see a bunch of cards in this pack we haven't seen yet. Avalanche Riders. Awesome. Living Death. I did like the old art considerably better. And a foil Gilder Baron. Alright, so I'm going to take a second and move off some of these commons and uncommons. And then we can go through, just do a little re-review of some of the rares here. So overall, this is the first time that I've opened and handled this set, and I do primarily play limited. From a standpoint, I think what I said in the beginning about there being some synergies that you can commit to because this is a curated set and not a true chaos draft. I would say you can pick just about any card and build around it. If you want to try and force something, there's a good chance that you will get some support for it. However, the overall strategy of just always taking the best card, at least for the first, 1 to 6 picks, and then, building as strong a deck as possible around, a centralized theme is where I would suggest going with cards like this. Don't fall into the trap of thinking you can only draft cards with Madness, or you can only draft Morph cards, or every card needs to either proliferate or make a counter of some type. Um, just stick to drafting strong standalone cards and build a deck around those. So Pestilence, super cool. Board removal, also has the potential to burn an opponent out. Chromatic Lantern, awesome for fixing. It looks like you could definitely put together a 3 to 5 color deck here and make it work. Good fixing, good bomb rares. Squirrel Wrangler, definitely a solid first pick bomb. A lot of interesting stuff here that I think would make for an interesting draft format. Asceticism, I think a little undervalued, but once it hits the board, it's very difficult for your opponent to deal with anything you play. Coat of Arms, famously in the Infinite Slivers combo deck. Solemn Simulacrum, always a solid pick. You play it in any deck, replaces itself when it dies, puts a land directly into play. I think this isn't a bad pull. If we had drafted this box, I think a lot of people would have been really happy with the decks that they put together. Foils, certainly fewer here. See if there's anything in here we'd consider first pickable. Spell-Tithe Enforcer, super oppressive. Whenever an opponent plays a spell, that player sacrifices a permanent unless he or she pays 1. Effectively making all of your opponent's spells cost 1 more. Helix Pinnacle is a bad card. However, in formats like this, I'm not going to use this to justify playing this card by any means. It says it costs 1 green, it has Shroud. For X, put X tower counters on Helix Pinnacle, and at the beginning of your upkeep, if there are 100 or more tower counters, you win the game. In chaos formats like this, where there is just actually, chaos at the table, and you're not reading signals very well, and nobody is cemented in a color or a theme, you do want to have a mana sink for when the game stretches on. These games do tend to go long because there is no direction and there really isn't as much synergy as you'd like. So finding something like this to sink a considerable amount of mana into on turn 6 or 7 when you might not have a play or you can't double spell is going to be pretty beneficial. You could say the same for what was one of the rares that we had in here. I hadn't played with it before. Was it a rare or was it foil? I'm going to drive myself crazy. Oracle of Nectars. Another card with just an X cost. It hits the table, and if you untap with it late game, you're going to start racking up an advantage that your opponent might not be able to come back from. So that's going to be our foils, and then for the Mythix, of course, we got the Dragon Lord Ojutai, hands down, one of the best dragons. Animar, not bad at all if you want to be committed to 3 colors. Centriplets, just a very, very nice pull. Elish Norn, hard commit on 7. Then the Planeswalkers, they're Planeswalkers. You open one, it's first pick, pack 1, you tend to take them. And they will dictate, the rest of your game if they stay on the board. All right, so again, just a reminder that everything that was opened here is going to be available for sale on pastimes.net. And if you use that promo code pastimesRE10 for 10% off of your order, um, and that goes not just for singles, but for books, games, anything that we ship out, that'll get you 10% off. Sorry again about the camera work. I promise that when I do this again, I will have a better situation worked